It is nice to see James letting loose, you know?
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto, and coming off a walk-off Rouge last night in the Week 12 opener, it is time now for the CFL Preview powered by FanDuel. And we've got a trio of games on tap for this weekend, with the Ticats kicking things off tonight in Winnipeg, and the Lions and Red Blacks clashing tomorrow, before the Elks and Owls put a cap on the weekend. We'll start in Winnipeg, where after a slow start to the season, Zach Collaros looks to be back in most outstanding player form as of late, and has averaged over 290 passing yards per game over his last 4 starts. You combine this with Hamilton's D that's allowing a league worst 31.7 points per game. And it should be safe to bet on Collaros going over that 291.5 number in passing yards. Then it's a huge one in Ottawa, where Nathan Rourke is looking to bounce back after a tough season debut with the Lions. The CFL's highest paid player went 8 for 25 and just 126 yards with 0 touchdowns in his return, and actually apologized to the fans for his performance after. The Lions are slight favorites in this one, so the odds makers think he's going to make good on his apology. And on Sunday, Cody Fajardo makes his return to the lineup for the first time since he suffered a hamstring injury in Week 6. And even though the Owls didn't drop a game in his absence, he'll be a welcome presence back on the field tonight. Because even though the Elks were 0-7 to start the season, suddenly they've won 3 straight. So it should be a big test in Fajardo's return. We're just a couple of days away from the main draw beginning at the US Open, the final Grand Slam of the year on the tennis schedule. As always, we have your exclusive coverage from Flushing Meadows, with early round coverage starting Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on TSN. After missing last year's tournament with a stress fracture in her back, Bianca Andreescu is back at the site of her only Grand Slam victory, which came 5 years ago when she knocked off Serena Williams in the final. Now, she's never made it to the quarterfinals of any other major that she's entered, but she's hoping to channel the good vibes from the biggest win of her career, and was kind enough to join us ahead of next week's big tourney. With us all the way from New York is the 2019 US Open champion, Bianca Andreescu. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
So happy to have you. Obviously, the US Open is just around the corner, so how do we mentally prepare for a tournament like this?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been 5 years since the big run. So being back here is obviously so great. Last year I couldn't play it, so I feel like now I'm able to appreciate it even more. And it being 5 years, I think, is a huge milestone. So I'm hoping to do some damage. Obviously, New York can be hectic, so I try to not do too many crazy things. Meditation is obviously a huge part of my life, so I love to do that, especially before a big tournament like this. I think that's the main thing. Stay calm.
I'd love to hear that, because I too am an anxious girly, and the only thing that really settles that is meditation and breathing. So it's good to hear you're also on board with it.
100%. It's a lifestyle.
All right, so there is a beef on the tennis courts right now, and I feel like I have to take a side. It's involving pickleball. I don't know how you feel about it, but every time I'm riding past one of the tennis courts in my neighborhood and people are playing pickleball, all I can hear is that paddle, and it drives me insane. So I need to know, do you think pickleball should be banned from tennis courts?
Okay, that is a very deep question, let's say, but I do appreciate pickleball because it is a bit easier than playing regular tennis, because tennis is a very, very tactical, technical, all of the above sports. So pickleball, to have the opportunity to kind of be able to do something else close to tennis, I think it's great, especially for maybe somebody that doesn't know how to play, or even the elderly. I think it's important for them to, have some sort of tennis vibe, but I know it gets a bad rep. I've played it before. I think it's fun. I really do.
Okay, yes, of course it's all in good fun, and we want everyone to play. We like to play a game called Blind Rankings. It's basically I throw things at you, you rank them 1 through 5, and you don't know what's coming next, okay?
Okay, let's try.
This is going to be top 5 blind rankings of racket sports. Here we go. Badminton.
4.
Squash.
A 2. Not the biggest fan for me personally.
All right. Table tennis.
I'll go 3.
All right, we have 2, 3, and 4 locked in. That means we only have the worst and the best left.
Yeah, let's go.
Pickleball.
Yeah, we'll do pickleball 5, tennis 1.
Amazing, you passed the test, Bianca. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, you know what? I think I totally did not know how to play that game. I thought we're rating from 1 to 5, like 5 being the best.
No, 5 is definitely the worst.
Okay, whatever. At least I participated.
That's all we care about. This game is all about participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. Appreciate that.
Now, if you've been following my travels on socials, you'll know that I was rolling through the motherland last week, and I realize I'm still posting things from last week this week to my stories, which is a little confusing, but, you know, I got things to share. I'm sorry. But I also had stories to watch of my own, and I'm going to share one with you now. Kevin Garnett has to be one of the best storytellers in the history of sports. No one can really match his energy or intensity. If you need proof, you need to feel the passion he has for his first Cinnabon experience.
When I first came out to LA, P was the first guy to put me on Cinnabon. We walked in the Fox Hill Mall. I've been in the mall before. Man, no. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. Listen to this. About 15, 16.
I took him to the mall. We went to go get a Cinnabon.
I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. We have a Krispy Kreme. So we know what red light, we know smell. Bro, I come into this mall, the first thing I smell, I'm like, damn. And P was like, oh yeah, that's Cinnabon. Come here, I got to show you this.
We gotta go.
I'm like, what's this? He's like, come here, it's cracking.
We gotta go.
We go in here.
We get the
Lord,
Cinnabon.
this was so big. I was like, oh man, I can't eat all this. This for us? He's like, nah, that's yours. And then P was so like, he was like super hoodie. He ripped off the little, cause to give you icing or something. He ripped the whole, then he took the little thing, like, you gotta do it like this, big fella. Put it on there like this. And I was like, Lord, you aggressive. Like, nah, dude, you gotta hit it. And then I was like, looking at this, I'm like, damn, Lord, what you want, Lord? Fire.
It's fire.
Go ahead, Pete. I said, what's this again? I had icing. I was like, what's this, Cinnabon? What the
through the mall.
Shout to Cinnabon, goddamn right. Shout to Rogers
Park.
Is
they still open?
Shout to Inglewood High. Shout to Pete Pierce taking me to the Fox Hill Mall. Yeah, bro. No, listen, man. I get high blood pressure, Nate. But bring it on here. I eat a little piece. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, it does feel like that when you have a Cinnabon for the first time. This is not an ad for Cinnabon, by the way, but now I'm craving Cinnabon. Thanks. F1 action resumes this weekend after a nearly 4-week hiatus, as the Dutch Grand Prix is set to run on Sunday. And that's a full month after Lewis Hamilton's victory in Belgium. You can catch that live on TSN at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, with 90 minutes of pre-race coverage also available. With more on the big race, we're joined by our F1 guru, Tim Rainey. Timothy, great to see you.
Hey, you've been traveling around Italy for a little while. Ciao, Marissa. Spero che tu stia bene. I think I said that right. Essentially, I hope you're well, is what I was trying to say. Whether or not I said it correctly.
Well, it sounds like you've been spending some time in Italy yourself. Okay, we're entering the stretch run of the F1 season with 10 races to go. Max Verstappen has not won any of the last 4 races, and his lead atop the driver's standing has dropped 78 points, over Lando Norris in second. Do you think there's any chance he could be caught by Norris or anyone else in the field before the end of the season?
I think realistically, Lando Norris is the only driver who can challenge Max Verstappen for the world title. It was interesting listening to him yesterday, Lando Norris, and him talking about how he just hasn't felt like he's driven well this season. He hasn't driven to a World Drivers' Championship caliber just yet, and for himself moving forward, that's what he really wants to focus on, because he believes that he can win this Drivers' Championship this season and take it away from Max Verstappen. The CEO of McLaren, Zach Brown, he also believes that Lando can do it as well. I think he can too, but there are a number of different things that would need to happen to Max for this to really transpire. There'd have to be some DNFs mixed in here. Lando would really have to outscore him in the next, I would say, 4 to 5 races. So in that window, we're going to get a better picture of if Lando Norris can actually do this.
Meanwhile, the constructors are even tighter, with Red Bull just 42 points up on McLaren and Ferrari just 21 points behind McLaren. Do you see either of those squads chasing down Red Bull?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Red Bull Racing hasn't had the fastest car over the last, I want to say, 5 races. That has to go to McLaren, and then also factor in Mercedes. They've really come on strong here. And for Ferrari, I mean, they can if they can get it all together. They've had a lot of struggles with this car so far this season, but my eyes are really set on McLaren because I think, realistically, I think they're the only team who can and probably will be able to beat Red Bull Racing in the Constructors' Championship.
Timothy, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the race.
All right, thanks very much for having me, Marissa. Really appreciate it. And thanks, producer Sean, as well.
That's it for me today. We'll see you at Picker Monday. Ciao.